like in order to have good digestion, what you're saying is, like you were saying, a good greens, like that's what you shared there, and a combination of different colored fruits and vegetables, or like particularly organic ones. Is there anything else you'd recommend, like as far as, are there particular types of fiber we should be focusing on getting? And again, everyone's different, but broadly.
Yeah. Number one is if you're not drinking enough water and you're not hydrated, you're going to have bad digestion. So hydration, being super hydrated, chewing and eating properly, but is really important. Not overeating, sitting down, having a little bit of gratitude before you eat, and which leads to the next one is high stress levels is really, really bad on your digestive system. If you notice, like if you're ever in a stressful, anxiety type environment or time in your life, or going into a situation you get gassy and you usually go to the bathroom really quick, having high stress is really causes a lot of imbalance on your gut microbiome and your digestive system.
My friends, welcome to another episode of the Thoughts on Purpose podcast. My name is Nash Mackey, and I'm here with an absolute legend, Tommy Cassano. Tommy, thank you so much for being here, brother.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
You're so welcome. Oh man, of course. I was actually just doing a little story for my Instagram, sharing that I was so excited to chat with you. I saw you present in a group that I'm a head coach for, and I got to kind of host that call and ask you a lot of questions and find out more about your incredible expertise when it comes to biohacking and supporting humans just live really a thriving existence. So I was like, man, I got to get this guy on the podcast. So I'm excited to see where this conversation goes.
Absolutely.
So thanks for carving time out of your, it would be, what would it be for you today? A Tuesday afternoon, is that right?
Wednesday here.
It's Wednesday.
California.
Okay.
In LA area, Los Angeles.
Got it. Appreciate it, man. No, it's great to be here. So I'm going to read a bit of your bio, and this doesn't do you justice. Like a lot of people who I have on the show, like their bio just scratches the surface, but this kind of summarizes what you're about. So, ultra human biohacker. You support high performers unlock new levels of freedom in their mind and body, which is something that resonates with me so deeply. You're the founder of the Outdoor Body.
Outdoor Body, yeah.
Outdoor Body, I said that right? Awesome. You're a performance coach, an athlete, an international speaker in the world of life hacking, transformation, and longevity. And I think your Outdoor Body, you said that you were just about to film some extra content for that. Is that right?
Yeah, in Alaska.
Super cool. Super cool. So I'm excited to dive into more of that world. As I was saying before, Tommy, really the reason why I started my podcast is to support more people go after what they believe is their purpose here on earth, and really just tap into that and get over all the bullshit that gets in the way of them doing that. So when I see someone like yourself, I just see a guy who's completely dedicated to your mission, and I admire that. And so I'm excited to see where this conversation goes. I know you've got so much to add. So I would like to begin by asking you this question that I ask most of my guests. If you were to walk into a park right now and you saw sitting on a bench a 7-year-old version of Tommy, and he looked up and he saw you walking toward him, and he knew instantly all the stuff that you've done in your life and all the accomplishments that you've achieved, and he just saw you as the man you are today, what do you think would inspire that 7-year-old Tommy the most?
By not being complacent, seeing that he always went after his dreams, his mission, and not settling for second best or settling for something just for the money or for the recognition, but truly constantly going after what he feels like is his purpose on earth, that he knows in his gut deeply that he needs to do, and not letting anything get in his way, whether it's friends, family, money, no matter what. Truly going after what he loves, but also being very patient in the process, and just knowing that the universe will unfold itself when the timing is right, but also going after it 110%.
Man, I love that. 1,000%. That is truly inspiring. So thank you for sharing that. What do you think like, I'm just trying to word this question because it's come to mind as you were sharing that. I sense in what you've shared there that there's, like most humans, there's a lot of adversity you've navigated through. Like the resistance has been high. What do you think that the 7-year-old version of Tommy is most inspired that you overcame specifically? Like what adversity specifically is he most inspired that you overcame? That might be the way to ask.
I would definitely say the peer pressure from family. And, that the definition of family can be in terms of, also like your best friends, close friends, people pressuring you to go in a certain field or chase a certain job just because of money, or the naysayers saying, which is usually your closest friends and family, saying, oh, that's not going to work, or why the hell are you doing this, or that's just a dead area in your life, you should do this. But truly listening to what your gut tells you. And it's really, really difficult. I'd say one of top difficult things for me was quitting my corporate job right out of college. I was in corporate real estate for about 4.5 years, and I was completely miserable, depressed, because I knew that wasn't my calling in life. But I dove right into that because I chased the money after college, right? And went to really good college. I wanted to impress people and my dad and make lots of money, but I hated it. Like I'd say it was probably some of the most depressing times of my life in my early 20s in corporate real estate. And when I finally took that initiative to go in front of my boss and the CEO, and it was a really big, amazing company, and say, I quit, I'm done. And I just moved, I left everything behind. I knew in a couple of years I could be making, whatever, $500,000 and this and have this glorious family in this life, but I wouldn't have been happy. So I went out on a limb and quit my job. And I knew that would not necessarily lead me directly right away to the path I needed to go and where I'm here right now. But I knew it was another stepping stone and direction of where I need it to be. And sometimes it's you do things for the purpose of knowing that this is not for me and learning from that and then progressing and moving forward. So, learning and educating myself from that perspective of knowing that something isn't for me and knowing when to leave that position in life to move on to the next thing was, I think, really, really important.
That's huge, brother. That's huge. So talk to me about that moment, because there's so much in what you just shared. Talk to me about that moment. So you were there, you could see that the path you're on, it could potentially lead to the, $500,000 years and the white picket fence, fairy tale life. But you had something like, I guess, a dissatisfaction inside of you, a healthy dissatisfaction, a calling.
Yeah.
And then you stood in front of your bosses. So talk to me about that moment. In that moment, when you stood in front of your bosses, did you know what you were going to be doing? Did you know the path forward?
No.
Were you perfectly clear?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Zero clarity. I just knew I wasn't supposed to be there. And I listened to myself, and I kind of, tapped into my emotions and feelings, knowing that how unhappy I was. And I was kind of just looking for an opportunity to get out, which I finally found one. And I knew I just had to keep going forward, but not in the direction of, corporate real estate, which I was. And it was a very scary moment. It took a lot of balls to just quit out of nowhere and leave that field when everything seemed dandy and perfect, and a very streamlined progression in that industry where I was going to go. Yeah. So, health and fitness has always been in my life since I was 6 years old. And I knew at some point, somehow I'd be in it, but I didn't know what that path was. But I knew the path I was going on was not the right one.
Got it. And what kind of feedback were you getting? Because I've heard of many people, they get, like, literally one of my clients, he got massive physical symptoms. His whole system started shutting down. Like, he was in hospital, like all this, and the doctors didn't know what was going on. So everyone's different. But were you getting anything like that? What was the feedback you were getting that was like life-giving, you to kick up the ass saying, move, Tommy?
Oh, man. Just depression alone, lethargic, no motivation, just anxiety.
Yeah.
Anxiety and depression, definitely. I mean, for someone in their healthy guy in their mid-20s, that just shouldn't really happen. And I just, this overwhelmingly deep sense of urgency inside me, knowing like you have to go, you have to get out of here, constantly ticking at the door. So it was like, not so much like physical hospitalized type, symptoms or triggers, but on the verge of kind of just in my head, the anxiety was just becoming overwhelming.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's beautiful that you acted on it, man. And you had the courage and the wisdom to do that, because sometimes people try and ignore it and they like, oh no, shut that down, just drink some more, eat some more, numb myself a little bit more. But bury it. And you went straight into it, which is where magic happens. So
absolutely.
And that's why we're here today, brother. Like, you're an inspiring guy. I've followed you for a while now on Instagram as well. And every day, like, you're consistent, you're just living your mission, you just live and breathe. It looks like you're constantly ready to go on a bodybuilding competition, like 24. Like, man, whatever you're doing, you're completely dedicated to your mission. So I love it, brother, and just well done stepping and being an inspiration for so many. So,
thanks.
Tommy, what's a conversation that you might not have as often as you like, but you would love to have with more people? Like, is there a particular conversation that's on your heart where you're like, I just want to speak to more people about this?
Yeah. I mean, I would say definitely in the realm of, I would say mental health wellness. I mean, a lot of people, especially on social media, you know how it is. It's like, I do a lot of workouts. I do a lot of extreme stuff. I do my outdoor body in national parks and all this cool stuff, but really talk about like those times where I've been depressed, I've been down and out, throughout my entire life, 20s and my 30s. And I think depression, both men and women, but especially as men, it gets really lost, and like we go to that term buried, because we have this egotistical, masculine, mindset or persona that we always have to put on, no matter what field or what your job is. Being and having that masculine energy is really tough for a lot of us, because you have to be on all the time. And the sense of depression and mental health wellness is that especially at its highest over the past, couple of years with everything going on. So having that conversation with someone, I think, is really important. Just speaking out for it yourself and talking to people. That's why been so, I'd like to say obsessed, but it's really part of my DNA, is working out every day, mostly twice a day. That's really been my key outlet for getting over any mental health issues, or just keeping sane, or being and changing my mood, be a happier person. Meditation and all these modalities that I teach really comes back to feeling good internally, having self-love and self-confidence for yourself, because it seems to be lost quite often this day and age. And all those things, I like to say all parts equal the whole. It's not just one thing that's really going to affect your mental health. It's a lot of things combined together. And, when you work on these little attributes every single day from, like I teach in that last coaching course, is the meditation, eating right, working out, detoxing, doing all these little things, taking time for yourself. It's really, really important, especially as we get caught in the rat race as entrepreneurs, business owners, people that are working, 10 plus, 12 plus hours a day. We don't take time to ourselves to work on our own mental health. True.
Yeah, brother, I love that conversation. I resonate with that so much. And again, a bit like I was saying before, my experience working in hospitals and all that stuff, and seeing that, attempted suicides, all that stuff that I saw firsthand at 17 years old as I was having the experience. It's stuck in my mind, it's tattooed in my brain, and I had to process that in a particular way, and it was getting heavy for me at one stage there. And I was like, it seemed like the only logical way through it was to do the work I do now. So I'm driven to do what I do, even create this podcast, because this is me kind of doing my part to prevent that. And the fact that you've had your experience of depression and anxiety, and now you're so dedicated to your mission, I think this is a really beautiful lesson for people, because they can say, all right, I'm having this experience right now. This doesn't define me. This isn't the rest of my life. In fact, that I can use this as fuel to create something greater, just like Tommy's done. Like I'm having depression.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let it define me. I'm going to use it as, a kick up the ass to go and do something new. So I love that.
It's an important, a very good point, is like not letting anything define you. And that it is your choice to overcome whatever's in your way at this point in time,
1,000%, brother. Yeah, man. Such a great conversation. I appreciate you sharing all that. So, I know you're a guy of many practices, even following your stories. I see you, I think it's a gratitude guide or something, or a gratitude journal you do each day or something, like you're keeping your perspective. And that in itself is so powerful. But what are the practices, maybe outside of the fitness side of things, that you do every single day, the habits that you've developed that have been most game-changing for you?
Absolutely. And, it's funny when someone asks you, it's like, I don't know if I have any, but then it's like my whole life is basically a practice of, habits, gratitude. So, one thing is waking up early in the morning, typically 5:30 a.m., no matter what. I think just getting into that practice, and sometimes I wish it was 5 o'clock or 4:30, kind of driving that down, but also not being hard on yourself. I think that's really important. Waking up, going to bed at the same time is like absolute key for two reasons. One, for proper sleep, for recovery, feeling good the next day. And two, setting up your day for success in the morning, knowing that you got up first thing in the morning and made your bed is like an accomplishment, right? So waking up and achieving that one little tick in the morning, I feel like is really important. And then right away, I typically, for me, everyone's a little bit different. Some people meditate first thing in the morning. I tend to do it sporadically throughout the day, just because I like being outside of the house. So I go and I do my gratitude journal, which is really a combination of things. But at its highest level, it's kind of my form of manifestation. And there's some key metrics in there. So basically it's like, I put what I'm grateful for, but what I'm really grateful for in the future in terms of big goals that I want to achieve. So, and once I achieve them, or once it's kind of hitting home, I move on to a different goal. So typically it's like 3 manifestation goals. Like I want, my YouTube to hit 100,000 subscribers. I want my outdoor body company to hit X, or, something like that. Or maybe it's like, I want to have a successful trip to Alaska for a month to film this. Like I make them like big, achievable, almost unreachable goals. And then I do like 3 things that I'm, grateful for in my life, whether it's family, whether it's my health, my body, things that are presently active, things that are really bring me joy.
Yes.
So that's really important, I think, in getting into that routine every day to set you up for success in terms of 1, being grateful, and 2, manifesting what you really want to achieve. And, it's almost like a form of goal setting and manifestation all in one morning shot. So yeah, that's I say that's a really big one for me. So the sleep, going to bed, waking up at the same time, the manifestation / gratitude journal first thing in the morning, movement first thing in the morning. I know that's kind of part of fitness, but I don't really view that as a workout. My morning like walk or cardio, whatever it is, that's kind of like a form of meditation for me. I use that as like freeing my mind, getting my brain and neurons kind of triggering first thing in the morning with the help of a little bit of espresso. So yeah, I use that as like almost like a morning meditation. I usually throw on like a podcast or something like that too. So, filling my brain up really first thing in the morning with those types of modalities really sets me up for just a better day in general. Because you've had those days where you just get up and you're running and gunning and you don't take time to yourself and it turns into shit.
Yeah, man, 1,000%. Like, I love that. Thank you for breaking that down, brother. And yeah, I'm such an advocate for the morning practices and evening practices, just to support people have that consistency in their routines. It's music to my ears. So, and thank you for just sharing your own practices. I actually love the idea of walking first thing in the morning. I love walking. And I'm similar. I have a mini workout in the morning, kind of like an activation I do, and I go quite deep in breath work as well. But I love walking, and I see that you do a lot of walking, and just building that in. And you're right, it can be a form of meditation in itself. And as you're saying that, I'm like, yeah, that's something cool I can build in. So that's actually, yeah, great insights. Tommy, what does your nutrition consist of? Like, because you're a super fit bloke. Mm-hmm. What does your nutrition consist of mainly?
Yeah, it's always a big question for everybody. So no matter what I say, my answer to you and to everybody is everyone's biologically made up different when it comes to nutrition. And 2, everyone's on a different fitness journey. And 3, for you to achieve what you want to do and your goals is probably going to be somewhat different from what I do, from what you do, from what she does or what he does, no matter what. But, I change things up every probably couple years, sometimes couple months, just because that's what I do. I teach people different nutrition modalities. I have like a set programs where I teach a certain way. I believe in a lot of different things like intermittent fasting, sometimes 24-hour fasting. Some people do macro diets. Some people do more fat-based paleo type diet. But for me personally, lately, this past year, I kind of transformed over into, because many years I do intermittent fasting, probably for 7-8 years before it even became popular. Because I was just really, really like almost too lean because I was doing ultra races. I was running. I just wanted to like be not skinny per se, but super lean muscle. But lately I've been doing probably about 4 meals a day. One of those being a shake. I do carbs and protein majority with some veggies in there. I was typically a lot fat-based for many, many, many years, but now I do really clean carbs, high organic fruits, everything organic, everything grass-fed, grass-finished in regards to the protein. My first meal is typically eggs and either fruit or roasted potatoes, depending on how hard my workouts are that day. So it kind of varies on, if I'm doing a big leg day plus sprints or, my calorie output. And then my second meal is either probably a shake and fruit and or doing like some sort of protein like salmon or chicken or turkey with a starchy carb and or fruit. And then my midday meal is either a shake or the vice versa. Then my biggest meal is typically at night though. So I kind of keep it like, 20% meals to like 20, 20, 20. And then my biggest meal is at night, typically around 40% of my caloric intake, where I have more protein, more carbs, lots of veggies, stuff like that, getting good plant fiber in. I believe in a well-rounded, balanced diet for the most part, getting good plant fiber, mixing up different colors, because the gut bacteria does need different macro micronutrients to flourish and constantly being fed good pre and probiotics. So, I love to teach is like mixing up variations in your proteins and your veggies, and sometimes in your carbs. Your carbs, starchy carbs can kind of be the same. Not too worried about that, but yeah. And if I'm like have a photo shoot or I know I'm gonna like take my shirt off for a particular reason, I'll just kind of dial in my calories to a degree. I just kind of know by now like how much I should be eating. So I just kind of like, instead of eating to 85%, I'll eat to 70% for every meal, and I'll just kind of dial it down a little bit.
Got it, man. That's epic stuff. That's epic stuff. like, are you at a point where, because I know a lot of people with their measuring and counting calories and, like, do you get into all that? Like, do you operate?
No, I don't. And I don't teach that. It works. Yep. It's great. It's great. I've done that in my 20s. I've done food services where it's basically like 500 calories, 5 meals a day, 2,500 calories or yep. so, 2,700. And that works. Yep. I just I think of it as like reducing as much stress as possible on you.
I like that.
That's why I love teaching. For the most part, all my clients are busy entrepreneurs, business owners, even I have a lot of stay-at-home moms that are very busy, and just like intermittent fasting or taking a longer food break and having 3 real meals and learning how to eat for your body and your lifestyle, I think is more important than looking at an app and tracking them all day. And, yes, it's not that hard at the end of the day. If you want to be perfectionists and count your calories, it works and it's great. But I feel like a lot of people get way too stressed out about weighing themselves every day, counting every single calorie, eating 5-6 meals, cooking, getting all the food. And it's like, by the time you do all that, you're spending literally your entire day worried about what you're going to eat instead of living your life. My goal is for longevity, living a healthy lifestyle, and learning that, like, when you go to the restaurant or you go to the store, like, what to eat on the back of your hand for your body, for your mental health, for your energy levels. Yeah. I don't count calories or anything like that anymore. I haven't in a long time.
I like that answer, brother. Reduce stress. Like, there's enough stresses in life, and
exactly.
Yeah, and I think I've never done it. Like, I've done different forms of weightlifting and bodybuilding and Russian strength training over the years. And, in the back of my mind, I'm always like, damn, should I be doing this? Should I be doing this? But the thought of it to me is like, I got 3 kids, man. I run a business, It's like the thought of counting calories or all that stuff to me seems exhausting. So it's actually, I like your perspective, brother. You're just very in tune with your body. And, like you were saying, if you need to do a photo shoot, you can just tweak it that bit. And I think that's a huge part of it, isn't it? Well, like, you're doing these practices and you are allowing yourself to connect with yourself. You're in silence. You're in these mindfulness practices. So that's a huge part, because I think a lot of people are disconnected from their bodies.
100%.
And like you were speaking about on the other call, the microbiome and the healthiness of the gut. Like, for anyone who's not familiar with that kind of field or that area, like, why is it important to prioritize getting your gut healthier?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. And just real quick, referring back to what you said earlier, for the most part, in the medicine world, we call it Wetigo, the mind virus, whether that being, social media, the news, whatever the hell you may be listening to or paying attention to, the comparison of other people on social media, the Wetigo, the mind virus, is prevalent more than ever these days, disconnecting our mind and our body. And I think that's one of the biggest epidemics going on in the world, is that we truly are not in our own bodies. We're not in our own bodies or outside of it, in our minds, living this projected life that isn't true to yourself. Whether it's really going on in the universe or not, that it doesn't really matter, because if you're not in your body and true to yourself, what the hell does anything mean? So, going back to that and kind of transitioning into the gut, your gut is your second brain. And there's a lot of great people on gut health and stuff like that if you want to research it. But, it's really the foundational component of my programs and what I teach with the clients, because without your proper gut health, your whole entire body is going to be out of whack, from your metabolism, your digestive system, your hormones, brain fog, mental clarity. It is truly connected to the neurons in your brain. And your gut health is developed from the time you were born. And there's many attributes, whether you had a C-section or natural birth, you're given, all sorts of antibiotics. There's a lot of factors, your environment, how your gut health is formed. And, over, I think it's like 30, 40 trillion bacteria of microbiome in your stomach really dictates your overall wellness. And it's it's really the foundational starting point for a healthy lifestyle. So, and then it's like, all right, what the hell does that mean? How do I get healthy gut health? It's like, one, like analyzing your digestive system, how you process foods. If you're overweight or you need a lot of fat to lose, how am I burning fat? How am I metabolism? How's my metabolism? How am I absorbing micronutrients? How am I absorbing, minerals and vitamins? How do I feel? How's my energy? How's my brain fog? And then obviously good things to approach that. Intermittent fasting is a great one for starting to optimize your digestion. Pre-probiotic foods. One of the best is, like, hands down, every day should be having a subtle mix of plant fibers, different color leafy greens and good fruits for your gut health. But overall, like, the gut health, you can speak for hours on. It's just, think of it as like your foundational component for immediate energy, overall health, and longevity, for optimizing your body, for really supercharging it, because you're really nothing without, good gut health.
Yeah, brother. Wow. And so when it comes to good digestion, and maybe there's more to it than I realized, but like, in order to have good digestion, what you're saying is, like you were saying, a good greens, like that's what you shared there, and a combination of different colored fruits and vegetables, or like particularly organic ones. Is there anything else you'd recommend? Like, as far as, are there particular types of fiber we should be focusing on getting? And again, everyone's different, but broadly.
Yeah. I mean, there's lots of things. We'll go back to, and everyone overthinks everything. You have to if you can't nail down the basics, then how are you going to do the really cool shit, the biohacking and all this? I love that when, like, there's like all these biohackers and all this stuff, and you're like, but you look like shit. So you're not doing all the other stuff correctly, but you're trying to just sell some biohacking tool.
Yeah. I've noticed that. That's a good point. Yeah.
Number one is, if you're not drinking enough water and you're not hydrated, you're going to have shit. You're going to have bad digestion. It's like, half your body, like I was telling you on that coaching call, it's like half your body weight in ounces. If you're 200 pounds, over 100 ounces of water. I know you got to convert it for your Australian friends.
Yep.
So basically, half your body weight in ounces is really important. So hydration, being super hydrated, chewing and eating properly, but is really important. Not overeating, sitting down, having a little bit of gratitude before you eat. And which leads to the next one, is high stress levels is really, really bad on your digestive system. If you notice, like, if you're ever in a stressful, anxiety type environment or time in your life, or going into a situation, you get gassy and you usually go to the bathroom really quick. Excuse me. But having high stress is really causes a lot of imbalance on your gut microbiome and your digestive system. So, then it goes and unfolds into, what else are you doing? Meditating, health and fitness. So, like, if you can detox daily, far as, going to the bathroom, peeing, pooping, breathing, and sweating are pretty much the four things. If you're kind of focusing on doing properly every day, the digestive system is going to be really, at least optimized to a degree. And then, like I talked about, mixing up plant fibers is really good, just to getting good fiber in your gut. If you do have issues or need to lose fat or need to lose weight, a little bit of intermittent fasting is good. I usually do once or twice a month a 24-hour fast, which is really good for optimizing digestive system and just taking a clear, good break, giving everything its proper time to settle down and just take a proper rest, per se. I think that's really important to incorporate at least once or twice a month. And like, there's a ton of supplements and stuff out there you can talk about and recommend. And sometimes it's all marketing. Sometimes they're really good for people. But for the most part, it's like, if you can't nail down these simple things, then you shouldn't be taking supplements. It's like, perfect all the natural God-given stuff that's given to you.
Yes.
And then start enhancing and building layers on top of that.
I love that, man. Okay. So that's really interesting. So what you're saying is, you shouldn't be taking too many supplements, because a lot of people burn a lot of money on the supplements, because they're like,
of course, including myself, because I test them all.
Well, they're not sleeping, right? They're stressed. they're not even hydrated half the
time.
So
they're taking 5 to 10 milligrams of melatonin and passing out, but they wake up even groggier and still stressed out.
Yeah. And then there's the other side of it where people might have a good diet, but they're not doing the mental side of things that you're talking about. And then they're not even digesting the food. And I love how you said it was so simple, just the gratitude practice before you eat.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah. How many times, like, even if you're in the fat, it's like, oh, boom, boom. And it's kind of, I was raised in a Catholic family.
Yeah, same, man. Yep. I get it.
Yeah. We would say a prayer before you eat, even if it's just like I was inside a family friends. I spent the weekend there, and they say, pretty longer prayer before they eat and what they're grateful for, but it's not necessarily no matter where, denomination you are or whatnot, but just having a couple seconds of gratitude or thankfulness before you eat, you'd be amazed at how it kind of calms down your nervous system slightly. And that calming of the nervous system will actually help you digest a lot quicker, because when you're in that flight or flight mode, your adrenaline's up a little high. It takes a lot for you to digest, because when we actually are digesting our food, it takes up to 3 to 4 hours in total, and it's using up anywhere from 70+% of our energy during that first hour or so. So it takes energetically a lot on our body to digest that food. So if you're in this like running and gunning, little bit of stressed out, maybe you're in your family or yelling or eating standing up or in your car, like those things take a toll over time. And I love to say it's these micro habits over time that add up. It might not be like, oh, that one time I ate in my car, I was stressed out when I ate, but the continuous micro habits over time, those are the things that add up in the long run and can cause havoc on your health.
Yes, I love that, brother. Yeah, such great tips, because with the busy lifestyles people have right now, people are detaching from this stuff. And actually, I heard Jordan Peterson speak about it the other day on a video. He was just saying that, like, if you get these little staple habits right, like every day you're eating food. So just when you eat your food, have the right practices in place. And he says it is these small practices that actually create the kind of life you ultimately will live and have in the future. So I love everything you're sharing, brother. You work with a lot of high performers, so entrepreneurs, athletes. I was actually reading some of the testimonials on your website the other day. Incredible stuff. How did you get into that field? Because you came out of corporate real estate specifically. You didn't know what you were doing. You committed to this path. And I think you just you just looked at the next step in front of you. That's the impression I'm getting.
Yeah. And
you just focus one step at a time, trusting, building. How did you get to where you are today? How did you transition into that work?
Yeah. And, first thing is it's a path, and takes a long time for anyone to trust you at a very high level, especially, working with top professional athletes, CEOs. I just finished up a corporation wellness program. So to get anywhere in that point, one, it takes time, patience, and, a lot of trust and a lot of work. But essentially, I was in Scottsdale for about 2.5 years. I moved out to Manhattan Beach, California to open up a gym. Didn't know one person, and basically I've been out here for 9+ years now. So I basically built my foundation here. And for those of you that don't know, Manhattan Beach, it's a beach town in Los Angeles. Very high end, a lot of great people, a lot of CEOs, athletes live here. So one, I'm just in a really, really good location, and I just built my practice and name off of one, integrity. Living exactly what I preach day in and day out. Being, I consider the healthiest and fittest person alive, and especially around in this area. So, I always want people to look at me, whether it's just visually or talking, and just saying, oh, wow, like I want to be like him in a sense of how healthy he is, how much energy, how he feels. And I just constantly practice what I preach. So, and obviously networking and just living my life to the fullest here is just pretty much how I got into it to a degree. And I was running and operating gyms. I owned a gym for 6 years. I knew I just didn't want to live inside a gym. I hated it. Another point in time. And that's where I kind of broke off and started really getting into group coaching, one-on-one coaching, and then building my outdoor body company.
Amazing. Yeah, brother. And it's the commitment and your dedication to what, like you were saying, you are a living example of what you teach. Like, you don't just share this information, you embody it every single day. And I think that is, like, people sense that. People sense when you are someone who truly embodies what you're teaching, that there's something that people just pick up on, versus if it's the other way around, people just constantly, that, like, you know, we're pretty good. Humans are pretty good at picking someone out who's bullshitting. You know what I'm saying? So I love that, brother. I love that.
Yeah, and I like the word embodiment, being a true embodiment of your life. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. So powerful. Do you believe, Tommy? Do you believe every single person on earth right now has a purpose?
I believe they do have a purpose. I believe the majority of them don't want to believe they have a purpose, though.
Really? What makes you say that?
In a degree of that they don't follow their dreams, don't follow their purpose, don't really want to, they're complacent in their life. I just see it day in and day out with people, just like not going above and further, being their truest version of themselves. And I think that's kind of what I love to preach, is like, you know, getting out of they don't want to get out of their comfort zone to be a greater version of themselves. I think that's where I was going with that.
That's I like that. And I would totally agree. So they don't want to admit that there is actually a calling on their life, that there's something, because that requires ownership and responsibility.
Commitment, responsibility, getting out of your comfort zone. Because, you know, everything great happens out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, 1,000%. Man, I actually love that answer. That's really cool. So for you, brother, and I'm curious for myself as well. I'm one thing, you know, I'm early 30s, but I'm kind of mindful of, I ran a construction business for years.
Oh, wow.
After I came out of the military, and I thrashed my body. Like I did some damage. And you know, right now I'm kind of in repair mode. I find a lot. And I'm focusing on building up strength right now. I know you love your kettlebells. I've kind of got more into kettlebells. I started at Olympic weightlift, like the clean and jerk and snatches, with a really great coach when I was very young, probably too young. And I did a bit of compression in the old spine and all the other good stuff. So I thrashed my body a bit. And right now I'm focusing on more recovery and building up strength, but I'm also mindful of not damaging my body. So how do you do it where, because I see you sprint, like you've got a very diverse kind of training. Like, and I love the style of training you do. It's actually, I resonate with it a lot. As far as joints and things go moving forward, how do you balance it? Like, how do we really set ourselves up to thrive into the future when it comes to maintaining mobility and all these other things that are important?
Yeah, and once again, it's comprehensive. It's all parts equal a whole. It's not just one rest day where you're gonna recover. I think number one is listening to your body. I know throughout my 20s, even now, I push myself hard.
Yeah,
I always do. But I've learned over the years that when I need to take a break, I need to take like 2, 3, sometime, usually not 4, usually like 2 to 3 days, like doing nothing. And I mean doing nothing. So one is like really listening to your body, giving it the love it deserves. You know, everything, you know, there's a balance of yin and yang, right? You have this super high active, you know, I'm going to work out for an hour. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. Always the rest and recovery needs to balance it out, which is, you know, obviously proper sleep, having a healthy diet, the mindfulness practice. And then we get into, you know, other supplements. You know, you have like the fish oils and, glutamine and stuff that can help you recover from your body joints, but also making sure when we go back to the fitness, healthy joint mobility, is like putting those practices in, if not daily, a couple times a week, whether for you that might be doing yoga or yin yoga, that might be doing some sort of intense mobility practice. And that's typically the hardest stuff for me because I just find it boring, and I like being mentally stimulated always.
Yep.
So instead of viewing it that way, I've tried to rewire my brain and thinking of like, okay, if I do this, I'm going to be X amount better when I go do the stuff I love to do. So it's like, you just for the most part, it is repackaging stuff in your brain, just to trick it into doing all the stuff that you don't like, which is usually stretching and mobility for me.
Yeah, brother, I love that. I love that. Actually, one of my evening practices now is completely around mobility and all that other stuff. So I'm actually trying to build up our little girl.
And
she's like 5. She can just drop on the ground and splits. Yeah. So I'm trying to build up to do the splits one day. That's a goal of mine. It's not pretty though, man. It's not pretty.
Keep doing it. But that's a good point, is like, especially with stretching mobility, it's like, okay, I know it, and you got to dedicate yourself and block out the time for it, or it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I'm going to work on my recovery mobility for 30 minutes on Tuesday and Friday. Like just, that's for most things, is blocking out the time if you're having trouble doing it on a consistent basis.
Super good point. Yeah, 1,000%. Man, this is gold. This is gold. So I just want to talk a bit more about what you offer. I want to talk about, because you got some awesome, incredible things you offer. Obviously, you do the one-on-one coaching. I'm assuming it's still one-on-one coaching you do as well, right?
Yeah, I do a little bit. I only take a couple clients on at a time, but definitely high performance one-on-one coaching. High-end entrepreneurs, CEOs, or whoever that may be. But yeah, I just built my platform, Outdoor Body app, on Apple, Android, and within that is my programs. So I have multiple fitness programs, and then my big one called Lean 28 is my wellness program. I'm actually that's a corporate one I just did. I'm in a group right now, so I teach basically it's like a 28-day amazing reset, teaching you anywhere from nutrition, fitness, fasting, and all these hacks to do and incorporate it into your lifestyle on a metric habit basis each and every day. So you're developing these habits for 28 days, and you're still in the community and doing them afterwards. But and then my big thing, my company Outdoor Body, is I left everything for over a year and filmed workouts in the national parks and iconic locations. And my whole mission of that is reconnecting humans, both body and mind, through nature. So basically, you're in Australia, anywhere in the world, and I'm training you from the Grand Canyon or Bryce Canyon or somewhere in Alaska. And it's a intense workout, sometimes 20 minutes, sometimes 40 minutes, body weight kettlebells. So fusing my passions together with that. And I just launched the app and going to be filming in Alaska in a couple of weeks too.
Phenomenal, brother. Wow. So the app's available now. You're saying it was at the Apple Store, right?
Yeah, you can just Apple and Android. I always do trials, but then I just launched my Outdoor Body YouTube, where there's going to be some good freebies on there too. So that's on YouTube, Outdoor Body.
Amazing. And wherever you're watching this or listening to it, there's going to be links below all of this.
Links below, yeah.
The links below, definitely check them out. I'm actually excited. I'm going to be checking them out as well, brother, because this is gold. And I definitely feel that, like I was saying, I'm really prioritizing my health more than ever before, just because, I've got people rely on me, 3 little kiddies and coaching clients and so on and so forth. And
you're nothing without your health.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. Absolutely. And, again, my experience in the hospital, seeing all the hip replacements and the joints, and I used to carry limbs out of hospitals, man, like to the incinerators when people had them amputated, like crazy stuff. So I'm doing my very best to not go down that path. Like that's my aim. So I love what you're doing, brother. And I also love that you're connecting people with nature as well. Like you get out, you work out, have that awesome flair. It's really, really cool stuff. Tommy, I'm curious, has there been a particular mentor? Because you've got a real depth to watch. Like you're not just a personal trainer. Like you've got a lot of, like I can tell you're very, very tapped in. Like that's the word I'd use. Like a very, got a lot of wisdom to you. Has there been a standout individual or mentor in your life who's taught you the most?
There's been a couple throughout the years, starting with my father, who was, really drove us at an early age to develop this structured, I like to say militarist type lifestyle. And then probably my football coaches going into my college years. And then I'd say recently is this kind of, I always go to the books and the mentorship and podcasts. There's a lot of people out there that you can view as your mentor. But, just, I've always had a lot of self-motivation for what I do, and not getting too into the, how do I say it? The fluffiness, but like, I think, was like 5-6 years ago when I went to Peru and did my first plant journey, viewing the plants as mentor, in that incorporating that in my practice has been absolutely profound for this experience for me, and really driving me to my path in life and my journey for sure.
Okay, interesting. So can I ask about that a little bit more? So you talking about like ayahuasca journeys, like what was that exactly?
Yeah, all that stuff. That was, I think I went back in 2017 before, if you're in LA, everyone's like a shaman these days and all sorts of shit. It's like, holy crap, I'll just stay away from all that stuff. But yeah, going on to Peru, we went on a 3-week journey on doing multiple plants, including Aya and some other ones. And it was just profound to really, for self-development, for truly kind of ripping away, I think I like to say, layers and shedding skins of my life and things I held on to that are kind of developed at childhood and throughout our lives from elders and other people, and this persona of what we think are. And it's really just kind of ripping away the egos to be our true self, over and over again, right? So I like to really think of it every time I kind of do that and do these self-development retreats, is kind of really ripping away layers of snake skin, just so I can, be truer to my mission and journey. Yeah, man, that's gold. I love that. And I've never done the plant medicines as such. I'm fascinated by them because I hear people's experiences. I do a lot of hardcore breath work though, and so I've trained in breath work and hypnosis. So I love those modalities, which are different. I guess different paths people can take, but it, like you were saying, even with health, it's a unique journey, isn't it? It's about people feeling into, okay, what do I feel is right for me? And being willing to, like you were saying, is also get outside the comfort zone and try something new, and just don't settle. Like that's really the biggest thing. So I'm loving what you're sharing, brother. Loving what you're sharing. One question I always ask my guests is, if you were given access to, like for 1 minute, you were given access to the back end of YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and you could share a message that was going to be streamed to every single person who had eyeballs on these platforms. Like literally, that's all they would say. What would be the message you'd want to get out to the world? The message to get out to the world. That's a good one. I'd say my message is probably to kind of, everything goes back to getting out of your comfort zone to be your truest self, and knowing that it's going to take hard work, dedication, passion, and commitment to live your wildest dreams, because everyone wants to live this glorious life, but no one wants to put the work in. So it's do the work consistently, day in and day out, to really live the life you want to live. This takes commitment, takes dedication, and tons and tons of practice. Yeah, brother, I love that. Thank you. Discipline. Yeah. I love that, man. I did a challenge not so long ago called I think it was called Freedom Through Discipline Challenge. Like that, I totally agree. Like, and what you do is you
I'm this is just my observation, but it seems like you've accessed a high level of freedom in your life. Success in your business, very healthy, awesome mentality, and you've accessed that through discipline. And so
Absolutely.
It's key, brother. It's key. Thank you so much for sharing, Tommy. So where can people find you specifically on Instagram? Let's start there, and then other platforms.
Instagram, my name, Tommy Cassano. And then under that's linked to my company, Outdoor Body, all one word, Tommy Cassano, all one word. That's where I'm majority of the time. And then YouTube, Outdoor Body, and then the outdoorbody.com, where you see all the information for my programs. Also can shoot me a message for other stuff on there. It's pretty much Tommy Cassano on Instagram, and then Outdoor Body everywhere else. And then I'm obviously on Facebook too. It's Tommy Cassano.
Awesome, brother.
I'm on there a lot also.
Yeah, amazing. Any parting words, brother, for anyone listening or watching this?
Parting words. Wake up early, go to bed early, and the more consistent you are with your habits, your health, your energy, and your life will flourish tenfold.
Beautiful. Tommy, thanks so much for being on the show, man. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Nash. I appreciate it, brother.